You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome everyone to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis, and I'm here with
Sam Peterson.
James Martin.
Welcome, gentlemen. This is going to be
What's up, dude?
A fun one. What's up, Sam? Back on the podcast.
You haven't let me be on it forever, bro.
You were grounded. You said some things that offended some people. We had to give you a little
time out,
a little hiatus time to think about it.
I just feel like you felt like I was shining too bright, you know?
Is that right? No, man. We've been on this journey of introducing new staff members. It seems like for the last couple months, and it continues.
Yes.
Today with James Martin. We still have one to go after this.
Do we?
Yeah.
Come on.
The never-ending parade which is awesome. We've never been fully staffed here at Turning Point, and now we are.
Yeah, it's not that we've really lost anybody. We've just added a bunch of new people.
Yeah.
Doing new stuff. New things.
Yeah, and a lot of new stuff to come. We're going to be able to do a lot more outreach.
Yeah, you're kind of like a boss now.
The boss. Anyway.
Not quite.
James Martin.
Boss. But, you know.
Let's talk about James.
Yeah, is it time for James?
Let's talk about
Well, I mean, you don't want to just let him sit there while we go on for 30 minutes, do you?
He probably would enjoy that more than talking, but we'll see.
Oh, I'll chime in. I feel like there will be plenty of bullets given.
Yeah.
He's already having more fun than he thought he was going to have.
Yeah, this is fun. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. It's crosstalk. Yeah, James is somebody that I've looked up to in the program for a long time now.
Thank you.
He when I got to Centerpoint, he was a graduate coming back around, sponsoring guys, teaching class, and he's still been doing that, been involved ever since then, and always has something good to say, gives it to you honestly,
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Sometimes maybe a little more harsh than some people would.
Jarring. Jarring, maybe.
Yeah, which, at first, I'll be honest, was like, I don't know if I like this dude the way he comes, because I'm the kind of person, and I'm just being honest with you, I'm the kind of person, when you come at me with this is what you have to do attitude, I throw up that wall, and I'm like, oh, you're going to tell me what to do? Screw you, man. I'm doing my own thing. And that's my own issues that I have to work through. I'm just saying, like, if you had come at like that, if you had been, say, my sponsor in the beginning, I would have resisted naturally, especially early in the program when I didn't have any.
He wasn't. Is it okay if I disclose?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We're all friends.
Yeah. Like, so he did end up being my sponsor, but he wasn't my first choice.
We're going to do the PG-13. I got something. Keep that one chambered.
But now, that being said, it was that Shannon kept telling me no.
Oh, yeah? You're asking Shannon?
Well, no, like I was going there with the sponsorship paper twice, and he said, nah.
Yeah.
That guy's not ready for you. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I needed some people to help me because I was so full of shit that
that was the problem.
Left to my own devices, I would have stayed right where I was. I never had a sponsor the sponsor I have now will not tell me. If I go to him with, hey, this is going on, what do you think I should do? He won't give me an answer. I need to pray about that, and he will point out, I have seen people in the past do this, and this was the result they got. And that's how I am with my sponsees. Like, if I tell you, because I've got rules to sponsor guys, if I tell you to do something, That's not a suggestion. Like this, I'm a one-trick pony. This is how I know will work. And
Right.
you're doing this or you're not. And it's not because I've got better things to do than hold a grown man's hand, but
You were really good at it.
holding the hand. Well, some people need more attention than others, but
I'm just playing around, by the way.
I feel like I work best with people who are ready to do something different, and that's not a derogatory thing or a shot at anyone. It's just if you're teetering on the fence, what I've got, the approach probably isn't going to work for you because you're still. I completely understand about you. Hey, don't tell me what to do. I
Right.
still like that.
And I wasn't even, don't believe I was 100% ready at that point, especially when I first got to Centerpoint. I didn't know.
Couldn't hardly speak. What do you mean?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was. I didn't think I was going to be here almost 5 years later sober. I definitely didn't at that point. But something eventually clicked. And that's what I'm saying. I think your approach is. I understand you being extremely passionate about what has worked for you, and because I also am the same way about like how I worked my program and what the importance I put on God in my program, and like for me that has been I've found success there, I've found happiness and peace there, and so I want to put that into practice and to lead by example in others, and I wish everybody could get it the way I got it, but that's not how it works. Like, not everybody gets it the way I get it or the way you get it.
Yeah.
And I think, though you have came across, like, hard-nosed, especially early on when I knew you, now you've become a little more open-minded, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. I understand that there's all the different walks of life, and we all come from different situations and upbringings. But I've got a sad story. It's a tearjerker, and if I can get sober, what I've done, it'll work for you too. What I can't give you is the want to. I can break the steps down, but I can't give you the want to change, or for you to see the necessity of change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely true.
That's a you thing or a God thing. And I completely understand what you said. I've seen it a bunch of times working in recovery where, man, I'm just doing time, get on my face. I've had guys tell me that. And you know what? I think, like, he's got a shot. He's being honest, That's the number one thing that you're going to need here.
Well, I mean, just like I said, I wasn't necessarily there when I got to Centerpoint, but something eventually clicked. You have to allow that's going to happen for some people. They're not ready, but if they're in the right place at the right time with the right sponsor, and something just happens to be like, wow, the light bulb comes on. Right?
It was like my second time through, and like I know for me, I was like, well, I just need somebody to take me through. I don't need somebody like James. I just need somebody easy. And they just weren't having it.
Yeah, so you were not, he was not where you want them to be when you started with him?
No, I had already got, it took a while. I guess I was late MT2, so the thinking had already changed. It's like, you know what, maybe I really do need to do this. Some of that fog had, because look, I told Shannon, when I called him, I said, look, man, I just need to go to short term and get this, get the monkey off my back, yada, yada, yada. I'll be good. I was about dead, I'm close to dead, so that none of that was true. I think it was just waiting for the fog to clear a little bit, because it's been a rough 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It was like 2 months before I could hold a pen, sleep through the night.
Right.
30 days wouldn't have done it for me. And once I started coming out of the fog, my body and my mind started to heal a little bit, and I could actually receive what was being
And then I heard him
taught
teach a
to
class,
me.
and then I was like, That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would disagree. I would say Sam was exactly where he needed to be. You know, you're doing meditation and going to the classes and participating. Like I said, I'm a one-trick pony. Hey, we're going to get together and we're going to read this. We're going to read this book. This is how I know how to do it. We're going to meet once a week. And he...
Twice. I think we did twice. You had a little extra time then.
Yeah, I had fell off the building, and I was receiving unemployment at the time. So I pretty much lived at Center Point during all of the COVID. I was a sponsor, so I was allowed to come in there. But yeah, we read and got in the book, and he was participating. I don't. You don't have to like. That's what I mean. You don't have to like doing the stuff. You just have to do the stuff to get the result. Mm-hmm. It's like changing a tire. Until you see the necessity that tire is not going to work, and until you start putting in some action, there's nothing that I can do, you know. And Sam was, you know, and I'll tell you, this is you talked about the open-minded thing. He was talking about do you want to get into the resentments. I had a resentment towards Sam when he asked me to sponsor him. Yeah, I absolutely did. And one of the AA speakers that I listened to is probably my favorite one, Chris R. If you ever see this, thank you very much. He talks about the day is coming in AA when someone you don't like is going to ask you to sponsor them, and
it happened.
Absolutely,
right here.
and I'm glad that I'm not the hard-nosed, rigid person that I used to be, because I would consider Sam a friend. You know?
Yeah.
What can we? Do you want to tell us what the resentment was over?
You want to, or you want? Let me air out my own.
We'll see. We'll see the different perspectives in the story.
As I've grown, you know, and so I have to tell a little bit of my story to get to. So I worked at the Center Point when James came through, you know, and then he ended up being my sponsor later, you know, because I went back out there, relapsed, ended up back there again. But there was. We thought his roommate had a cell phone.
I told my peer mentor that my roommate had a phone.
Right, so he was open and honest about his roommate having a phone, and like, we just trashed his room. Me and Little Bill looked at this thing and didn't put anything, his stuff, the other guy's stuff. I mean, this room was just demolished.
Every drawer dumped out.
Wow.
It was different back then.
Yeah.
And I didn't even remember.
See, I did a lot of that.
I didn't remember it, you know, until he was telling me about it later. But like,
so you really held on to it, and to him it was nothing, just like another room he trashed.
Most resentments are.
Sure, I think I'm more important than I am.
We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. You want to know something? My biggest issue with meetings is, despite their name, they are never about me. Here at Turning Point, all of our meetings are for you and about you. We have meetings at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week. We are located at 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky. Call 270-444-3621 for more information.
Did you know that recovery from substance use disorder and mental health go hand in hand? That is why the caring and compassionate mental health professionals at Four Rivers Behavioral Health in Paducah are here to help you find your balance. They are proud of you for making the changes necessary to live a healthier life and would love to see you reach your full potential. Give them a call at 270-442-7121 or stop by the downtown location at 425 Broadway in Paducah, Kentucky.
You got to think. I will say my first shot at recovery, I was probably a little drier than I am now. By that I mean I was still really, really angry. I hadn't done all the things I deemed necessarily that you need to do to work a proper program, you know, in the program that I was working, and still am. But just this another time around, because I wasn't doing the things I needed to do. But so we and then I guess we interrogated him pretty hard too. So yeah, and
when he's the one who had come forward and been honest about it, then what was your perspective on it?
Oh, well, initially I was like, I've I've been the good little dope fiend for a couple months. Everyone should just trust what I say. They're looking at it more like, there's contraband in the facility. We need to get this taken care of. We haven't found it on the guy. So they were in there. They were doing their job, and 90% of us give 10% of us a bad reputation. So you don't just completely trust the guy who's saying, "I swear to you," in the long-term rehab.
It's true.
But yeah, I said, if it was me, I would probably have the phone on me, seeing how you can't search us physically. And I left and went to a meeting and come back. The room was demolished. The guy was in blues. I was catching hell from all the other clients. You're a rat.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And
Yeah.
And then the next morning they searched him and he had the phone on him and they got rid of him. That was that whole story. And yeah, it took a little while to work through that resentment.
Yeah.
There was definitely some justified anger, I would think, in that situation.
Yeah, it'd be hard not to catch a resentment there.
Yeah,
and especially if, did you have to carry that? Did guys continue to treat you that way through the program, thinking you were a rat? Or?
A little bit, but the IRF that I sat through at the time, where when I realized that I'm not trying to do what the majority of these guys are trying to do, and I really don't care. I would just assume that you don't need to do any dumb shit around me because I was.
Well, we tell people all the time that are going through there, stick with the winners, find you a crew who's not on bullshit, and then stick with them, because there's going to be those guys that are in there that are just trying to skate through, trying to get home to their families, trying to stay out of jail. That's always going to be the case.
And that's fine too.
Absolutely. When I was the MT1 mentor and I'd orientate guys, I would tell them, if that's what you're wanting to do, just don't cost me any extra work, man. I get it. You're passing through here. That's fine, because no one could. And that goes right back to the thing. Until I was ready, there wasn't anything anyone was saying to me. If I didn't see the tire was flat, then it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looked, believe it or not, if you were to hold your picture when you came in and his picture next to each other when y'all came in, you would have thought maybe you were brothers.
What do you mean?
The long beards, shaggy hair.
Yeah. I let myself go for a while.
Disheveled heroin chic look.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that then. I'm sure we could find those pictures.
As I'm sitting here talking to both of you, I was like, they looked eerily similar when they both came in there.
Yeah. Night and day. I kind of look the same now, actually.
Well, I mean, y'all both got dark hair and, He's probably a little bit more toned than you are. Has bigger shoulders.
Bigger shoulders. Yeah. I knew that was coming. So, James, how many years sober are you?
I celebrated 9 years back the beginning of May. May 6, 2016 is when I got to Center Point. Now, that was the last place I used when Harold was doing my intake. I had a pocket full, and I needed to get rid of those, and he had made me mad immediately, and I just thought, well,
he's good at that.
I hope I OD in front of this old bastard. That's just what my mentality was at the time. So, obviously, that didn't happen, and I realized what I was doing wasn't working. It took I didn't like doing all of the ridiculous things that I was asked, and I was 30 years old and had a bedtime. I was not a big fan of that, but the other way I had been living life is what drove me in the doors of Center Point. So I adapted to that. I was participating as well as I could.
Mm-hmm.
I looked like I think Chad said I looked like who was it? Manson come out of the cave off of the side of a mountain.
Yeah, that's very similar.
I was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Sure.
So, yeah, I was legitimately trying to do this thing.
Now, did you say when you got there you were ready, or was there a point that it clicked?
It was. I did not necessarily know that I wanted to be sober. I can distinctly remember coming to Kentucky and thinking, like, how the hell am I going to make it through 6 months without even a drink? You know, because that was, I was in bad shape out there in the underbelly of society, and that was a really insane thought for me to I was concerned about the detoxing off of.
Sure.
I remember when Lil Bill was giving me the drug test, he said, "What are you going to fail for?" And I was like, "Drugs." Like, yeah, but which ones? I was like, "Well, what are you testing for?" He's like, "You're taking a drug test." I was like, "Yeah, but what ones are you testing for? Because that's going to determine what I fail for." And I forget what the panel was, but it was the whole laundry list. And I remember he just looking at me, and he's like, how are you functioning? So,
Was there a point that you remember it being like the light bulb came on?
As far as doing the program, I was trying to do that. It was just chaos at first because my
Right.
brain wasn't working right,
Yeah.
and there's
Well,
all
like-
these people.
Like I said, it was a couple months in before I started to come out of the fog and could start to receive what was being. I mean, that's why Learning Center, they beat that in your head over and over again, week after week, because eventually you're going to come out of the fog and hear something, you know. But
I always
at
felt
first,
sorry for the guys that had been like locked up for a long time that were already out of the fog. You know?
yeah, just on repeat. But still, like you say, it's a form of brainwashing, and a lot of us needed a good brainwashing. But I know for me, the light bulb came on step 6 with the whole willingness, the spiritual principle behind step 6, and just realizing that willingness required action. That was what I had never been willing to put in before, was actually applying it, putting in effort, working a thorough and honest program. Once that, just for some reason, it all made sense to me right then. I didn't know if there was a moment like that for you. It's always sometime different in the program for everybody, I feel like. But we're promised to have the spiritual experience by the time we've worked all 12 steps
Go ahead.
If you've worked them
thoroughly,
right,
and honestly.
that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, like I said, I had the realization what I was doing wasn't working. Was I completely sold on this AA thing? Absolutely not. It was just the best option that I had. I didn't want to go back to where I had just left, and I knew I couldn't stay at Center Point if I didn't do this stuff. So
Yeah.
I was trying to participate in Center Point's program pretty immediately. I thought that there might be a possibility I would withdraw enough and just not be here anymore. And after a couple months, I realized that that's not what was going to happen, and no one was going to come and save me. Mm-hmm. I knew that. Mm-hmm. So when I'd go to AA meetings, I carried my backpack around with me because I was extremely paranoid. I didn't want someone putting something in there. I had my book with me. I was reading that. I was getting pieced up by the old timers after the meetings. I think pretty soon, I would say, when it really clicked I was out on the smoke yard one day, and it was probably noon or so, and I had realized that I hadn't thought about a drink or anything from the 5 o'clock in the morning till noon, and that might sound stupid, but that was a pretty profound thing for me, and I kind of had the realization, like, this thing's working. Even I don't like all these rules. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like a lot of these people that I'm here with, but I'm doing this, and it has, like, that was my little bit of proof, and I really started thinking, like, there might really be something to all of this, because I had just been going through the most. I don't know that I necessarily thought, like, well, I've worked this first step and admitted that I was an alcoholic, so now I'm going to be restored to sin. Like that, it wasn't a thought process like that. I was just doing it. And that's probably a lot why I am the way that I am. Until you're ready to do that, so I don't know that the first sponsor that I had did anything miraculous for me, other than, he just kind of gave me a heads up, like, this is a good place to start for you. The wanting to peer mentor thing, like, I seen people, Sam and other people that had went through the program and were sober at the time. They all had similar stories. We all hung out around here after we graduated, peer mentored, and they were coming up and doing classes and had valid driver's license and pretty decent looking vehicles and were smiling. That was a lot different than where I come from.
Right.
We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, did you know it's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland because they get lonely? Here at Turning Point, we don't want you to ever be lonely either. That's why we're open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Always feel free to come hang with our friendly staff, and don't forget your guinea pig. We're located at 415 Broadway Street, downtown Paducah. As a woman in recovery, I know how important having a fellowship of women has been for me. Come join us at the Women of Worth All Recovery Support Group here at Turning Point, 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky, every Friday night at 6 p.m., where we discuss our personal experiences in recovery. Hope to see you there.
How many times did you peer mentor?
I did it until Shannon said, I'll never tell you to leave, but you can't do this forever. I had dug myself in a pretty deep hole, and it took a little while. I was just shy of peer mentoring for a year after I graduated. So
almost 4 terms.
Right at 4 terms.
It was different back then, Not as many guys stayed to peer mentor, I don't think. Occasionally. But they seemed to cycle through really quickly.
It seemed like there was
there was always like one guy that had been in there for like a year and a half. It seemed, somewhere around that. Because the first time I did it, it was 11 months.
Yeah, you did? Yeah.
Also had the same talk, as, hey, you can't do this forever. Then I did it again.
Yeah, and that's where I met you.
Mm-hmm. And your life has changed.
No one said for the better, but
still welcome.
Still, you're welcome.
So, fast forward, James, to now you work at Turning Point.
Working at Turning Point now.
What was the inspiration to? Because you've been working at Center Point, you'd gone back to work there as a caseworker for a little while recently.
Yeah.
And now that you opted to come down here with us, which is awesome.
We're
happy to have you. We're happy to have you. But what was the thinking and inspiration behind that?
And once again, I was not ready until I was ready. I was real rigid about the work in the AA program, and if you're not trying to do this, then I don't have much time for you. And there's still an element of that.
Sure.
But I back to where I had seen people who had been sober for a little while, and what they were doing was working. I not to be egotistical, but it doesn't look like we're exactly winning out there on the streets.
Right.
I have actually, I was just with Sam, and we were looking at the bench out in front of the building. There's some dudes on the bench that I loved, and it's tough, and if I can help spare some people that and some families of that, I found that feeling that I was looking for in the bottom of the bottle or the bottom of the spoon. I found that through working with other drug addicts and alcoholics. Now the flip side to that is we're not exactly winning out there, and it's gut wrenching to see that side of it. But there were people, like when I was working as a mentor, there were people that I just thought were young, and we'll get them on the next time, and it's not really, we don't have that say. So I want to help people. I'm still trying to figure out what the best route to do that is, and I get plenty of opportunities working here in that center point.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the front lines.
I think, with the change in the substances,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're old heads, in the thing nowadays. It's happened,
Yeah.
We've gotten there. And always, I remember the old timers would be like, well, the stuff y'all are on is different. And, and that's where we're at today. But, the stuff nowadays, I mean, it's always been dangerous. There's always been people die. But, I mean, it's
next level.
Oh, this fentanyl stuff. Then you add in the xylazine. And then, and it's you got younger people going from, experimentation to fentanyl, and it's just, it's scary. It is. And, I mean, I don't want to be like, woe is the world and all that. But, I mean, it's different.
It is.
Yeah, I don't want to be woe is the world either, or what's the use? I don't mean to come off as being nihilistic.
I didn't mean you. It's just
what you said.
Me.
Absolutely, I remember old timers slamming $5 down and say, "Go get you a bottle." Then and I would be really hesitant to slam some money down in front of a sponsee and say, "Go get another bag." Then
Yeah, you don't want to carry that kind of guilt on you, but it is definitely different because, like I say all the time, I was the kind of guy who took the pill and then asked what it was, and you can't do that today.
No,
it's not smart to, because you might not make it back from that. And I just want to clarify that the bench James is talking about is as a bench we did for Overdose Awareness Day, where people were able to write names of people that we've lost to overdose on there, and we have it sitting out front as a constant reminder that this is a war that we're fighting. And I have a lot of my friends' names that I put on there that I've lost over the years, and it is a great reminder. It makes it real, and I think that's why what we do is important. And I know we're making strides, with a 30% decrease in overdose deaths in Kentucky over the last year.
That's a big deal. Something's working.
Yeah.
Right, and I like to think we played a big part in that.
I hope so. I know naloxone, Narcan distribution is key. People got to be alive. To work programs. I mean, you can't. Once you're gone, that's it. And a 30% decrease is a huge number for this state of people.
That's a chunk.
You know,
That's taking a chunk out of it.
And overdoses went up. You know, so I mean, we had more overdoses, but we just had less overdose deaths. You know, so I mean, we know the danger's still there. And you know, with you working in the QRT team, and you know, you get the chance to go work, do that frontline work, and talk to somebody when they're at that moment that we were all talking about.
Yep. When
you know you're ready for something, you know, that you might be ready for something different. You know, like that's a great time to work with somebody.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it keeps it fresh for me, and then I get to try and help those people. And the great part is that, especially like going to our local hospital, when I go in there to talk to people, I was there when I started my journey, and you know,
same hospital, isn't it?
Yeah, and I might fib a little bit and be like, I was in this bed. You know, when I'm talking to them, but
they care what bed you were.
Right. This is where I started. But yeah, I was there detoxing, and it was the worst detox of my life, and you know, it's been all uphill from there. So to be able to like be that person who could maybe help them start their journey is a good feeling.
As I've given you all both stuff over the way y'all looked when you came in, I guess I need to clarify. I wasn't in much better shape. It was just I was had the unfortunate ability when they both came in.
And you still aren't.
No, I'm not aging well. But but yeah, man, it's yeah. I know when I went to the Fuller Center, they immediately sent me to the hospital.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can't be here yet.
Yeah.
And I showed right back up there. I'm like, they already let you back out.
They don't want me there either.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good. That's a good place to start.
Yeah. Yeah, and James is on the QRT team, so you're going to get to do a lot of that moving forward, and I'm excited to have you. We're excited to have you. You know, as anyone who's been watching this knows that we've got a lot of new women, so it's nice to have a new male on board too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we got one more person to introduce to y'all, and we're gonna
Hadley. Still Hadley.
Hadley, she's on Sam's team on the Matter van.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And then we're gonna have Gretchen on soon. I'm gonna tease that one.
Man, CEO herself.
Four Rivers. She loves the podcast, and that's gonna be cool. And so lots of good things moving forward. Mm-hmm. We're, like I said, fully staffed and ready to go, passionate. Anything you want to add, James? Any words of wisdom to imply to our listeners?
I would think that we would all agree. You know, we've been talking about it, you got to meet them where they're at, and they have to be. I can't give you that want to do it. You know, I'm not special. I think that putting that out there to anyone that we're working with, like this, like I haven't done anything that you're incapable of doing.
Right.
Everyone here has. You know, I think that we've all pretty well followed. The path might have been a little broader in some areas than others, but we've pretty well done the same thing, and we've all got the same results. You know, so
well, just like Sam has laid out for us, we were all in pretty bad shape when we started this thing.
Yeah, but you know, I can't talk you into the want. You know.
But I can show you.
Yeah,
I can show you
what's worked.
By living, doing the next right thing, being a better person, and that's what gave me hope is watching, because I see things. You know, I saw guys like he was talking about with smiles, laughing, doing something different, and then I heard their stories and they were just like me, and I was like,
yeah. Well, I mean, anybody who watches or listens to this podcast knows I'm not a great talker. but I try to lead by example,
Right.
and practice what I preach. That's the best I can do. You know, I'm not gonna wow you with my book knowledge at any level. You know, but I am gonna be someone who you can trust and who you know is going to be being honest and who's going to be. If I tell you this is how I'm going to be, that's how it's going to be. Now, I wasn't always this
Right.
way,
Our
but
audio's match the visual.
yeah.
Then that's the important part.
Yeah, and that's what's got me to the position to be the guy that, because I've went on a couple of these QRT calls, and that's what's put me in the position to get in front of you and talk to you. You know, it's not anything that I come up with. It was something that someone taught me, and I'm just here to pass on the knowledge to you if you would like it. If you want to try another avenue, I can't stop you from that, because that goes back like we were talking. I'm not going to hold your hand on everything. You know, this is what I do. I would say this is what we do. This is what works for us. You know, if you're really tired of that, then maybe give this a try.
That's right. All right, thanks, James. This is fun. Going to introduce you, and I'm glad you enjoy yourself.
Fun.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
smiling on the inside.
We'll have you back on. Me and Sam like to do like a podcast. We just come down here and riff and crack jokes and maybe talk a little recovery every now and then. So we'll let you in on one of those. But check us out on YouTube or listen to our audio versions on Apple, Google, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music. And as always, stay grateful.
Maybe.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.